Greetings fellow guitar travellers, my name is Rowan J Parker and welcome to episode 1 of Rock Guitar Fundamentals. Now I've been teaching guitar for well over 20 years and in that time I've taught in excess of 1,000 students. And one of the things you notice about students in general when you've been teaching for a while is that many of them present with the same problems. So you see the same issues again and again and again, and oftentimes these issues can really hold a student back from developing in the way that they would like. So the purpose of these lessons is to address all these really common issues that I've seen over the years and share with you the solutions that I've developed to them, so hopefully then you can correct any issues in your playing or you can prevent them from developing. So in the long run, make you a much better player and therefore a much better musician. So these lessons will not be about whiz-bang licks because I'm posting up tons of them and I'll continue to do that. These lessons are all about the craft of the guitar, how to actually connect with the instrument better. So that's what we've got in store for you. So let's get straight into episode 1, which is all about the art of muting. Okay, so we hope you enjoy. Let's do it. Okay, now if you play any sort of rock guitar at all, you're going to use distortion. And if you play heavy metal, you're probably going to use a lot of distortion. Now, this turns the guitar from sounding like this, oh very lovely, into sounding like this. Now the problem with that is that it turns the guitar into an angry beast, and basically if you don't control the beast and you don't keep your monster on a leash, it's going to turn around and eat you up. It will devour you. So this is the problem that a lot of my students have. For instance, when they play with a clean sound, it sounds like this. Which is perfectly okay, but when they put the distortion on, it sounds like this. It doesn't sound very good. And the reason it doesn't sound too good is because they are not controlling the distortion, they're not controlling the guitar properly. And the reason for that is that they're not muting properly. So that's what this lesson is all about. So we're going to split up the two hands and we're going to look at, first of all, we're going to look at the right hand muting, that's plucking hand muting, and then we'll also look at left hand muting, which is fretting hand muting. And then we'll see how both work together so that we can create really clean and accurate playing no matter how much gain we use. We can use as much distortion as we like and still have exactly what we want coming out of the guitar. Alright, so let's get straight down to it. Let's look at, first of all, right hand muting. Okay, so let's look at this right hand muting. Here's the basic idea. I take my hand and I rest it on the bridge of the guitar, and it's the heel of my hand which is covering the bridge. Now let me stress here, this is not palm muting we're talking about. We're not talking about this effect. I hear a lot of players do this habitually. They seem to mute, but they palm mute all the time, and it means whatever they play has a sort of muffled percussive thing going on. Which, as an effect that you choose to use is fine, but it certainly shouldn't be jammed on all the time, because I think if it is, then you don't have a choice of articulation. You only got one articulation, which is the palm mute. So to be clear, that's not what I mean. What I mean is using the hand, the heel of the hand, to rest on the bridge of the guitar, and what's going to happen as you incrementally ascend through a melody or a scale, you're going to bring in the right hand to mute all the strings below, that is below in pitch, the ones that you're actually playing. So let me give you a demonstration of this with an A major scale, and we'll just show you exactly what's going on. So here's our A major scale. Okay, now when I'm on the 6th string, obviously I'm not applying any muting or blocking with the right hand at all, because if I did, I would actually get a palm mute. and we're not after that. So there's no blocking on the 6th string, but the moment that I move to the 5th string, the right hand begins to mute. So when I'm playing the notes on the 5th string, listen, you hear that? The right hand palm is now blocking the 6th string and stopping it from vibrating. And that really just happens incrementally as I go across the strings. So when I go to the D string and play notes on the D string now, the palm is blocking the E and A strings. And again on the G string, right hand palm is now blocking the 3 bass strings on the B. Blocking 4 strings now, and then when I'm on the high E, the right hand palm is blocking everything apart from the high E string. You can hear that, right? And so this means that as I ascend up through the scale, there's going to be no extraneous noise left over from the strings vibrating. So let me just try and really contrast this for you. I will play with distortion with the right hand block applied and then one time without, and you should see a very considerable difference in the clarity and articulation of both. So first of all, with the blocking, alright? So hopefully you can hear from that it does sound very clean indeed. So now let's deliberately remove all the right hand blocking and see what it sounds like. So it's fairly obvious from that there's a huge amount of extraneous noise left over if we don't block with the right hand. So that's the first thing you need to practice, is getting used to having the right hand palm on the bridge and applying the mute incrementally as you ascend and descend through whatever it is you're playing, scale, exercise, arpeggio, melody, whatever it is, okay? So that's the first part of muting, and just applying right hand blocking can really radically improve how you sound when you play with high levels of gain. Alright, now, so let's look at, so we've looked at right hand muting, let's look at left hand muting now. My index finger on my left hand is actually responsible for the vast majority of the left hand muting that I do. So let me just demonstrate something to you on the G string, and you can see the general principle or idea behind my left hand muting. Let's say I was playing this note on the G string. E, right? Now, in addition to actually fretting the note, the index finger is acting like a block or a mute, because the index finger is flattened slightly, a little bit like how you would flatten your index finger in a bar, and it's flattening down and covering or muting the strings above it, in pitch. So have a listen. You can hear the E note there, and then listen. So the index finger is muting the B and high E string. So all of the strings above in pitch, the string that I'm playing, are going to be muted by the index finger. Now, in addition to that, I'm also doing some muting the other way as well. Listen carefully to the note beneath the G string on the D string. Now you see that is being muted as well. In this case, it's being muted by the tip of the index finger. So I'm actually placing the finger down, not quite on the fingertip, but yet not quite on the pad. And I'm using the finger to block the 2 strings above and also the string below. So just to show you this again in the context of our A major scale, if we start on the 6th string, then we play these 3 notes. You can hear that index finger is blocking every single string above the 6th string. And then I go to the 5th string, and the index finger is blocking 4 strings above and also the low E string below. And then we just move incrementally across. D string, it's blocking the 3 strings above, and the A string below. And then again, 2 strings above, and then the D string below on the B string. It's going to be blocking the high E string and the G string below. So you get the idea, that's how it's going to work. And if we move on to the high E string, then the index finger is going to be blocking the B string. So you can see that the index finger on the left hand is responsible for a huge amount of the blocking that I use. And in conjunction with both hands, index finger on the left hand muting and also right hand muting, you can see I can produce very, very clear lines with extremely high levels of gain and yet sound very, very clean and clear. Alright, so let's just talk about putting both together now and give you a couple of examples, again possibly demoing with and then without, just to really try and ram this home how important muting is if you're a rock guitarist. Alright, so let's put both hands together now. Okay, so here's an example where the right hand blocks and moves incrementally across, releasing the mute as we descend through a scale pattern. Alright, so let's have a listen. Now you can hear that that sounds amazingly clean, and you can probably see by the motion of my right hand that I'm moving it up as I'm playing down through the exercise, descending down the exercise and incrementally releasing the mute. And also to point out what the left hand is doing, fretting hand, I'm using this blocking business so that, say for instance, by the time I get to the B string, G string, then the index finger is going to be blocking those 2 strings. So you see, even though the gain is cranked up to fairly monster levels, the clarity of the line, it just sounds incredibly clear and incredibly fluid. Let's listen one more time. Alright, so that's the general idea. That's how to achieve and develop far better clarity in your linear playing by using muting. It's such a vital part of rock guitar technique that it just has to be implemented properly for you to be able to achieve the sort of levels of clarity that no doubt you're after. So I strongly recommend you work on this, both hands, right hand blocking, left hand muting, and it will really help you develop far better control over the instrument. Okay, well that wraps it up for this particular little lesson all about muting. Before I go, I'm just going to encourage you to head on over to my website, which is www.rowanjparker.com, and there's tons of guitar stuff on there. Most of it is free and a lot of it is downloadable as well. There is a shop you can buy things as well if you like. If you'd like to contact me otherwise, you can find me on Twitter at Rowan J Parker, also inevitably on Facebook. I have a Facebook page, Rowan J Parker, which you can like, and I'm also on SoundCloud, and that's at Rowan-Parker. So yeah, it's been great showing you this stuff, and it's the sort of thing that's not often talked about. You know, a lot of guitar lessons are like how to play things, you know, how to play this lick, how to play that lick. I'm doing a fair amount of that myself, but very few guitar lessons on focused on the mechanics of the instrument, exactly how to get the best results, and that's what these lessons are all about. So we really do hope you find it useful and enjoyable, and it's going to help you reach your musical goals a whole lot faster. Alright, great, well that's it. Thank you very much. I've been Rowan J Parker, and I'll see you next time on Rock Guitar Fundamentals. Cheers!